What's up guys, SLOTH here, and today we're taking a look at the patch notes for patch 4.4 hunting season. This is the release patch for Cernunnos, a new Celtic hunter, and we're gonna go through the patch notes as usual, look at the new guard, the skins briefly, and then focus on the balance changes. Let's begin with Cernunnos. The downside we have here in these patch notes is that unfortunately the stats, the numbers are not available for him yet. We only know the effects, so it's gonna be very hard to actually find out how strong he really is. Let's begin with the passive, Heavy Glaive. Cernunnos wields a glaive as a weapon. His basic attacks deal additional damage to all enemies in melee range while he's throwing it. This is actually very strong. This is not like Golden Bow, because in Golden Bow, like when we had Golden Bow on Hunters, it would hit them, like hit the cleave wherever the basic would go, like throwing dagger for that matter. But here it's more like he's melee and ranged at the same time. He has the normal melee cone, but at the same time he also has the ranged projectile. And the ranged projectile does a lot more damage, so you still want to hit someone with the ranged projectile over the melee cone around him, but it means he can hit 3 targets or more at the same time if they're close to each other. He can clear jungle camps relatively easy on his own. So a lot kind of helps there to facilitate him being played in the jungle as well, despite being a hunter. And his one is Shifter Season. We're going to quickly look at his card first, though. That's his normal card. His one is Shifter Season. Shifter Season is probably one of the craziest abilities we've had so far. So this ability can be switched through, like it's a stance swap basically. It can be switched through at any point with no cooldown at all. You can basically hold it down and switch through them real quick. So if you're good, you can make very good use of it. It has a lot of effects. The spring effect is bonus lifesteal. The summer effect is bonus damage on his basics, an additional instance of damage. Not higher damage on the basic itself, but another instance of damage. The autumn effect is a debuff, a protection reduction for 5 seconds. We don't know the value yet, but basically this is probably going to be like a mini executioner. Probably not percentage values, probably just flat values, but something along those lines. A mini stone cutting sword maybe. And his winter effect is a slow for 1 second. And if you consider that these effects are usually effects that require you to get specific items like Frostbound Hammer or like Devourer's Gauntlet or Executioner, then you'll realize that this is really freaking potent. So in an ideal engage, you want to get the protection shred on the enemy with the Autumn Decay, which lasts for 5 seconds, so you don't really need to reapply that quickly. And then either go into a slow with a Winter Chill or into the Summer Heat bonus damage. And that alone is basically like a, I don't know, like half a kit already. It's a crazy amount of potential behind these. It's going to be really hard to pull this off effectively because you really need to swap quickly and time it right, so you get like 1 bonus for 1 effect, and then probably need a lot of attack speed as well to make it work as effectively as possible, especially if you want to keep the slow up. But if you manage all that, it's pretty crazy. Not gonna lie, this is a very strong ability. Once again, we don't know the values, we don't know how this will pan out, but this alone in combination with the cleave on his passive makes him very potent already. And then he has Bramble Blast, his 2, which is basically a bit like Hell's new 1, where when it hits an enemy or a wall or it reaches max range, it explodes. So it's a line clear, but then explodes in a circle. I'm not quite sure what happens if it hits minions, because it says enemy here. I'm not sure if it goes through minions or if it would stop on minions as well. Either way, it will do an area which does a dot in that area. It also slows enemies in that area, and it roots the target that gets hit by the line ability. So there's a lot to it, and the one who gets hit is basically in the middle and needs to get out while it's slowed first. And then you have to keep in mind that Cernunnos potentially has another slow as well in his 1. So that's pretty rough. That's a lot of slows for a hunter already. A lot of soft CC plus a root, which I think in itself is already pretty good. And then we have Haunt Charge. Haunt Charge is a dash forward, but it only does some damage. The strong thing about it, or the special thing about it, is not only that it's very fast, but also that you can stop it. You can cancel it at any point. So that means like you have to imagine this somewhat similar to a Medusa dash, but better. Because Medusa's dash really sets you up for kills sometimes. You get really close to the enemy, then you land your basics very easily, but you can be stopped, and he can still dash through enemies. It's not like he has to stop. So you control that, and that makes it a pretty damn good escape. Then we have the Wild Hunt, which is his ultimate, and which is a huge circle ability with area damage that charges up for a second. And it's a bigger circle than, for example, Izanami, though, so it's fine. And then all enemies are turned into boars for 2 seconds, which means they are silenced and disarmed. So all they can do is run away for that time. And it does not affect DR either, diminishing returns, which means even if the enemy was CC'd before, he will be turned into a boar for the same amount of time. That is already a lot in one kid. Like, he has good CC, hard and soft CC, very good disengage tools because of that. Like, you can root an enemy, then turn them into a boar, and then dash away and slow them. And yeah, well, I don't think they're gonna get you. But he also has this ridiculous one, which is so many effects in one ability. Especially strong because it allows him to, depending on what he builds, skip certain items for a long time. Like, for example, the protection reduction, meaning that he doesn't have to get into pen that early and can maybe get something else instead. Really crazy, really interesting. Want to see how he's gonna feel in game. On paper, his abilities sound way OP. Often enough, this doesn't translate as well into in-game, especially because he's gonna be hard to play. But I feel like as soon as somebody actually figures out how to play him well, he's gonna be scary. This is his recolor, white fur here, a little different. And then we're getting to the skins for a bit. We got Twisted Metal the Morrigan, which is like a raver Morrigan, basically. Unfortunately, her hair looks really messed up in game. Other than that, pretty cool skin in my opinion. Quick glance at the voice pack. Little warning, this could be really loud, so your ears don't pop.
This is my happy face.
She's got a really funny voice pack, by the way. Dreadful Doll Izanami with a custom emote as well, really creepy. Overall, a very creepy themed skin. That's this one. And voices here.
I'm going to make you my favorite toy.
Pretty fucked up. Then we have Loki Charms Loki. That's this skin. Leprechaun themed Loki skin. Voice pack is here.
Never iron a 4-leaf clover because you don't want to be pressing your luck.
Then we have Energy Kronos. Really cool skin. A lot of his perks are things you are not going to be able to see on this like card or anything. You have to see the animations in game. They're absolutely sick. The animations on this 1 and 2 where the energy logo pops up is amazing. Voice pack is this.
What do you mean, auto attack penalty? Wait, you're kidding, right?
Then we have Breezy Chibi Kukulkan, which is glitched and gives us the Alt Morrigan card. Rip that. But the voice pack is this one. Also glitched. There we go. Great. And then we have Pro League Bologna. Same like default voice pack, but here's the card art at least. Pretty cool skin in my opinion. You can get it by watching the SPL, which is really cool. So you get it by chests from the SPL. I hope the chance is actually decent. And we have the Kuzembo Mastery skins, which look pretty cool in my opinion. And with that, we got the emotes for Cernunnos and the Silo Dance emote, which is based on the old Daisy Despair screen thing. If anyone remembers that, still gives me nightmares. New avatars, top 5 place. I guess you just have to get in the top 5 place for that. And Thanatos, a new cutesy one. There is a happy birthday emote for Smite, which is going to be available at some point this month, so 21st to 27th, for a single first win of the day. Apparently really cool emote. No recall emote for St. Patrick's Day, for the St. Patrick's bundle, probably with the Loki skin, same with the Pot of Gold award. We got a fix for an undo option giving the incorrect amount of gold. This is very important. I'm not going to tell you how to do it, but it's good it's changed. Players will now be notified when they report it, which I think is interesting because it's going to lead to more BM in post lobbies because it's going to be like, hey, fuck you, you BM'd me. You reported me. Fuck you even more, whatever. But hey, just saying. We'll see. Maybe it's a little delayed or something. And then the fix where the mouse could disappear, which sometimes happened, which was really annoying. So it's good that that fixed. And fix for bots or pets rather to get stuck in towers or like somewhere in the terrain, which happened to Calder and the Jade Rabbit. With that, we're getting to the item changes finally. The first one here is Bancroft's Talon. Increased lifesteal from 15 to 20%, increased passive lifesteal from 15 to 20%. So that's actually pretty decent in my opinion. Makes it a lot more rewarding to go into that, and especially guys that can make somewhat of a use of it will benefit from this. That's namely, for me personally, Ao Kwang and Freya, maybe Morrigan as well. Just those burst mages, or like AA focus mages rather, that can somewhat make use of basics to heal up. I think this is pretty damn strong now. So, as it wasn't picked up too much, I can see where the buff's coming from. I'm not sure how strong it's going to be now. It might be a little overtuned, but even if it ends up being overtuned, I'm pretty sure we would not notice for the longest time because I don't think many people will pick it up all of a sudden until it's maybe played on a higher level of play, and then we'll see how much potential it actually has. Book of the Dead gets lifesteal increase from 15 to 20%, and the gold cost decreased from 3,000 to 2,800. Honestly, the only god who really builds this most of the time is Anubis, so for him it's nice. For everyone else, it's just like, oh yeah, that exists, you know. I don't think these values are going to change as much as the ones of Bancroft, because on Bancroft it's like the lifesteal twice. Here the burn part is rather the gold. It's nice, but I don't think it's game changing. Fatalis, not Hasten Fatalis, gets an attack speed decrease from 20% to 15%. That's, that means that until you have Hasten Fatalis, this item is a fair bit worse. 5% attack speed is still nothing, you want to miss out on if you can avoid it. Especially important for those who rush Hasten Fatalis on Freya, because now Fatalis is going to give you less, and we look into Hasten Fatalis in a second, and then you'll see why it's even more important. Flickering Ritual, price increase from 750 to 1,000. It was too strong, it was doing too much, so I'm very much okay with this. Never more for all I care. Hasten Fatalis, that's what we're getting to. Hasten Fatalis now costs 2,300 gold instead of 2,150 gold. So this puts Hasten Fatalis more in a late game place. At the moment you see it sometimes being built relatively early, and now stat-wise it's just, you can't really justify as much picking it over like Ikaival if you did that, because it's just a lot more expensive in comparison. And therefore, I would say we see it a little less. I don't know though. I don't know how I feel about this. I like that Hasten Fatalis had a solid place in the meta for once, actually. So this will still keep it in the meta. And like I said, it's going to make it a lot harder to rush it for Freya, for example. You really want to have boots first now because the price difference is so huge. But in the end, was it really nerf worthy? I think the passive was very strong, but still, if you were able to play without the passive, any other item would have been better at the same time. So it's like, it's a bit awkward for me, but I can understand where it's coming from and I care with it. Heartseeker gets a price increase, and it's quite a significant one, from 2,100 to 2,400 to bring it more in line with options like Jotun's Wrath. I feel like this is going to lead to it being picked up later mostly. I feel like this is going to, if you're going to pick it up, you're going to pick it up after like Hydra's now, because Hydra's still, a little more early game focused in its stats and how it works, whereas at the moment Heartseeker is just so cheap that you want to pick it up anyways, and it's going to make it a little less used on like gods that just temporarily build it to then go into other items. So I don't know. I feel like 300 increase is a lot. But it might be biased here because I just like Heartseeker a lot. I feel like we're going to see it a fair bit less until later stages of the game, maybe. Soulstone is the fix for the description, and that brings us to god changes. Apollo gets nerfs, and that's very much justifiable. His base damage on So Beautiful is decreased by 10 per rank, really not that much, just a little bit off his clear, like a little tiny spike there. That's totally fine, and that was, in my opinion, needed because he was really, really strong. Serenite, the protection get lowered as compared to where they usually were. They used to be 10 to 50, now they're 10 to 30 protections. Means that he doesn't basically get a free protection item anymore. Instead, It's still a spike for boxing, and nerfs that a little bit, but I don't think it's ever going to be all too impactful. I personally think that the big problem with Serenade, among the fact that it actually provides protection in the first place, is how quick it is, that it basically disrupts almost any other ability in the game that's not CC immune, and that's still the same, and that's what it's mostly used for. The protections are just the bonus for boxing, and that's still there, just not quite as crazy. Kuzenbo gets his damage increased. Indirectly, mostly. Nene Kappa gets more damage, up to 10 more damage. So, early game, it's going to do a little more. Gonna hit a little harder. Gotta push him a lot more into that solo lane warrior. Wannabe warrior, guardian, I think. And Shell Spikes gets a decent buff. So, the cooldown reduction for the Nene Kappa per hit, instead of being 0.2 to 0.6, is now 0.5 to 1.3 seconds. And this is actually, now this makes this effect relevant. This makes this effect very relevant against dots. So, yes, good change. Finally, the reflect is not the only thing on that thing that matters. Like, you can actually lower your cooldown with this thing, even if you're not, if you're just getting hit by minions, basically. So that's cool. I like that a lot. Naja gets an updated description. Shoutouts to Flairboot, who was the one who pointed out in the chat back then. I feel like, you know, this may have happened because I made that video, so I'm pretty happy. And yeah, now the description actually states how much damage this ability does with all its hits. Then we have a lot of anti-heal. This is blah, 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 blah. I'm going to break it down simply, like, easier for you. All of these abilities, Odin, Osiris, Zaket's ultimates, are supposed to not make you able to heal. They're not 100% healing reduction because there are things that go above that. So what I would call this instead is just no heal. And what it actually is minus 1000% healing. So whatever you build, you're not going to get through it. You're not going to get healed by Odin, Osiris, or Zaket, or like during their ultimates. Previously, you used to be able to still heal while under the effect of Osiris or Zaket's ult, just not Odin's ult. Now it's all three. So a little buff for Zaket and Osiris. Do they need a buff? I don't know. Probably not. Maybe Osiris, but he already got one. Ra, just a description fix because it didn't say that he has offers protection in his Solar Blessing. Sylvanas gets a little nerf. Was overperforming, so no surprise there. Cooldown increase on his Verdant Growth from 12 seconds to 16 to 12 seconds, so you have to actually level the ability up for it to get the full effect. So you have to decide between the 1 and 3, and also that's good. That's good. Puts him in a little more of an even place to others. Shibalanke is interesting. Branching Bolus reduced mana cost from starting at 6 to starting at 3, and then up to 15 instead of 14 now. Anorexia said that he doesn't like it because he thinks that the problem is the late game mana cost, and that's why he has to build Transcendence. But the point here is that if you leave this on rank 1 until late game, and you build Death Toll, then you get the mana back. You use the basic and you get the mana back for Branching Bolus. You can keep Branching Bolus on all the time, only that you still lose mana for your other abilities, so eventually you will have to turn it off. But you can keep it up much longer, and that's very, very interesting. And Rising Jaguar also gets a damage increase, not only for its own scaling, but also for the bonus damage on poison targets, so 10% each. It's hard to say where this puts him. It buffs him, obviously. The problem that he will have is still that, you know, early game clear is so ultra important at the moment because of the minions clashing and you doing them before doing any buffs. So it's like I could imagine something really wonky happening, something really crazy, which is him with 2 starter items instead of going into Transcendence, just getting Bluestone to get that extra MP5 early on and that extra clearing potential, and then back once and get Death Toll to get more mana back and be able to spam Branching Bolus and, you know, have some more early clear. I don't know if it will happen. I could imagine that happening, just saying. We'll put him behind in other ways, obviously, but it could put him in a new place in the meta where people didn't expect him. Other than that, if it's not that, still Shivalanki, you know? But with a little more aggression, a little more kill potential lane especially. And if he gets those kills going, he gets his passive up and that's strong. So, could be good. Could be good. We'll see. Zeus gets a tiny nerf. Initial hit damage on the Aegis Assault, not the ones that bounce after, but just the initial hit, is decreased by 20 per rank. Zeus was very, very strong, or is very strong at the moment, so this is okay with me. I understand this is logical. Sean Kui. Sean Kui gets buffs. Sean Kui gets so many buffs. Sean Kui gets extra damage on his Exposed Evil, increase the damage, remaining damage dealt from 40 to 75% when Exposed Evil is removed by Exorcism or Book of Demons. So, a lot more. Just a lot more. Exorcism, reduce the time it takes for demon created by Exorcism to reach Sean Kui and heal him. Good. That was always the awkward thing, that it heals him so much later. Now it's going to be a bit quicker. Book of the Demons. Updated tooltip to make sure that when Book of Demons removes Exposed Evil, it still did 75% of the damage. I would have wished for that ability to be touched over the ultimate, just so that it makes a little more sense to use it. Realistically, the problem with this ability is that the stun is so short and the ability animation is so long that you're basically stunning yourself at the same time. And I think that doesn't have to be that. Obviously, it's different if you have the card on, but without the card, it's kind of weird. It's just kind of clunky. And I wish they would have changed that. But at the same time, they get so many other buffs that's, whatever. And Recall Demons. Increase the tempo speed of the demons released by Recall Demons. So, in his ult, they're going to hit you a lot faster now. Which means it's more likely for you to die before he dies instead of the other way around. So, yeah. That's it for this patch. I think I'm pretty happy with a lot of the changes in this patch. Some may be a little heavy-handed swings. We'll see. I do like the new god's design, Cernunnos, though I am worried that he's going to be completely broken. And I am not sure why some gods, like Hercules, get ignored again, but that's just me. And with that, thank you guys for watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, hope to see you for the next one. Duke Sloth, out. Today we're playing a little game, because usually I get this comment like, Duke, where's your outro card? This video has no outro card. What a surprise. Or no outro, rather. But it has an outro card. And when I'm pointing, like, where you're not seeing my hand, there, it's just like in the middle, there should be a card that you can click on. It's another video. It's probably really good. You should probably watch it. Do it. Watch it. Watch it. Really, you should. Watch it.